Welcome to the Growth Xperts Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Colin. In today's episode, we have a very special guest. His name is Bob Petry. He is the founder of Rorqual Group. How are you doing today?
Doing great. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for being here. So, can you tell us and share a bit about your background and how it fits into the bigger picture over at Rorqual?
Sure. So I've kind of have a little bit of a interesting background in the investment management industry. I started my career as a quant, working on a couple of really things that were innovative at the time, but may seem a little more pedestrian now. So this was years ago when we were bridging quant and fundamental to come up with a kind of a unified investment approach. I spent some time at the SEC where I examined private funds, hedge funds, and private equity, and anybody with really complicated investment strategies. This was kind of in a post-Madoff era, so I brought in to add some expertise to them. So that was kind of interesting. From there, I went and worked at a multifamily office. We had about 28 families and managed their family offices. I was the COO and CFO and CCO there, and kind of helped them kind of graduate from a entrepreneurial environment up into a real institution with solid risk controls and operation systems, and I reinvented everything from just about every system you could think of, got reinvented and modernized and integrated.
That's
And yeah, and that was great. Needed to move to New York following my wife and her business. So, and now I am consulting, where I'm kind of bridging the gap between all the various technology and risk operations problems that investment managers face. So specifically, I recently had a really interesting project creating the data infrastructure, private illiquid investing, to kind of break out their risk components like we do in the public markets. Some real factor analysis that can be unified for a total portfolio approach, build better real-time valuations, and predict liquidity in the private space. So some really interesting projects coming around.
awesome. Very cool, man. Yeah, so I guess what does a typical day look like for you when you're doing all this?
Man. So, it depends on the day. So it is typically I run through essentially really one project at a time, or at least that's my one project that's taken up like 80% of my time, and maybe just kind of 20% finishing up the last project. And then you start beating the bushes looking for the next project and talking to everyone and networking through the hedge fund space, the private equity space, and the family office space.
Okay, interesting. And then, I mean, 80%. I mean, that keeps you pretty busy, I would imagine.
Yeah, well, yeah. So if you break that down across the year, so my typical year is probably 2/3 engaged and 1/3 prospecting. Yeah.
Okay, understood. And what major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now?
Clearly, the biggest thing is AI. I mean, everybody's talking about it, and I've seen that both in the positives and the negatives in my business. I mean, the clear positive is I can leverage technology much faster. So programs I used to write that might take, I don't know, half a week, I can now get done in an afternoon, right? It's like just having a really competent assistant right by your side who doesn't know anything. So you have to, I mean, you get used to working with it. If you can figure out the hallucinations quickly and why it's making those. So it's still, to really use it, you still need that industry expertise. But like I said, it's like having an entry-level employee right there. On the negative side, quite a bit of my business, I used to take investment models that were run laboriously in spreadsheets and automate them and optimize them and get right programs around them so that you could ingest the data from the web, automatically run through your Excel analysis and spit out a client-ready report. Nobody's asked me to do that in probably a year and a half. And I think that's probably because everyone's able to do it now with Copilot or other AI tools. So,
Interesting.
yeah, so I've seen it both. It both helps me, and I also see it as a competitor. Yeah.
Yeah.
So taking away a bit of my
Especially when, I mean, it's great to have like a junior level or like a entry level companion, if you will, that can assist you without having that overhead cost or yearly salary spend with someone more expensive. But you can train them, and if you do get frustrated, it's really you just getting frustrated with yourself, right? But those hallucinations, they are a bit quite a challenge when tackling those hallucinations and making
Yeah.
sure that you have someone who has that infrastructure or architectural AI background to kind of build something for you that provide better measurable results. But it's still you need oversight, right? You still have to have that human behind the machine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You still need
Yeah.
the person in the middle. Yeah. And sometimes I wonder as it progresses and gets better, I think we're going to see really less of a need for analyst skills in the industry, and more of a need for creating unique connections, developing insight. And I don't know that that's quite something that the LLMs can handle right now. Maybe they will be soon, and maybe so maybe we'll all
Yeah.
be out of the job. I don't know.
Yeah. So analysts, interesting because I know with AI, the analyst infrastructure that can be built will definitely either enhance a lot of analysts that are currently working in PE or M&A and stuff like that, or take their jobs away because that is something which is a $800 billion industry issue or problem to have when speed to market and making sure that things are done a little bit faster instead of going through a deck of 50 pages in a CIM, etc. But yeah, I think it can definitely enhance, but I don't know if it'll take their jobs away for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the tricky part is I think you need to have some expertise in order to judge the output, and I don't know how people coming into the job market are going to get that expertise in order to be able to really do that effectively. I somehow somehow you have to jump straight to mid-career, and I don't know how to do that. But fortunately, I'm got a few more gray hairs, and I'm beyond that. But yeah.
Yes. But yeah, man, in terms of those major shifts, how has this trend like impacted your business strategy? Obviously, you said there's things that it's been helping you with, it's working. Can you explain a little bit more in regards to what it is exactly you do for these firms and how you're able to, help them, if you don't mind?
Sure, sure. I mean, my consulting engagements have been a little bit of a hodgepodge. The things I really love to do is find newer firms who are coming on and hitting their stride and are trying to get out of that entrepreneurial phase where every day is a fire drill and there's not enough time to do basic things, and because there's so much chaos, stuff slips through and mistakes are made, that somehow there's too much relying on copying pasting, and so things get copy and pasted in the wrong areas or whatever. So what I really enjoy is getting those guys set up with automated processes, so that their data flows to the person who needs it in a form that's useful to them when they need it to arrive. They can then work on it and quickly get it out and off to client, other employees, wherever it needs to go in the form that it needs to be in.
So if you don't mind, I'm gonna interject. When you say quickly get it out and processes, what exactly is it? Are you allowed to say?
It depends on exactly what their workflows look like. So I rarely, I can make suggestions about improving workload, but I try and keep with what's working for them based on their business. These small businesses, they're doing something in a particular way because that's what works, and it's reasonable for them, right? And what's reasonable for 10 to 20 person company is not going to get all reasonable for a 200 or 500 person company, right?
Right.
uh,
Yeah.
it's also not going to be the same as reasonable as for 1 or 2 person company. um,
Yeah. Okay.
uh,
All right. Understood. So workflows, automations, that can entail in terms of customer retention, churn rates. It can be certain administrative tasks and things that need to be done. Just to kind of give our audience a little bit of, what that might entail. So what types of, aside from like PE and others companies or industries, do you kind of go after or help?
that's really my focus is PE, hedge funds, family offices. I've also worked with a fund administrator, offshore back office accounting, to lower costs. Like I say, everything's kind of a hodgepodge. I wish
Yeah.
it's as I find interesting projects, I'm happy to jump in, as long as they're sort of kind of within that industry. But like I said, my career has really touched almost all facets of that industry. So I do find all of it really interesting. Yeah, especially the way the various facets interact. Like, how does your investment strategy inform who your clients are? That inform your marketing approach and your how you service them, and then does that also feed into your hiring decision, how you develop and retain talent. So, had a opportunity to really see all those aspects of how the firm works, and how to integrate them into cohesive strategies.
Interesting. Awesome. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I
All
mean,
right.
like
All
I
right.
said, and a lot of that really comes from working at the SEC, where I would go into these investment managers and say, okay, show me it all, show me how it all works, and they would.
Mhm.
So
Yeah. So obviously you kind of do an assessment, you make your introductions, and then you kind of do your discovery, and then they say what bottlenecks they have, etc. And then you go in and they show you kind of everything. And do you sign an NDA?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Very,
Okay.
very, very early on. But
I
yeah,
know that was a dumb question, but
yeah. No, but yeah, so that's kind of how the development process is, that you end up talking to the CEO or the COO, or someone high enough that is kept awake by some pain points that they're running into the same issues every quarter, and they don't enjoy it, right? uh, a lot of the administrative overhead of running these businesses
Very cool.
is
Well,
not
I think
fun.
it's very I like what you do, because if you're helping with productivity and efficiency, and they can move a lot quicker and focus on what matters, then that's always a value in any
Yeah,
industry. Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of times I see it as a risk reduction kind of role. Um, that's the biggest takeaway. Once I leave, is the errors are much fewer, and of course
Risk
they're
management. Yeah.
yeah, and of course errors can be just so costly. So
And that's especially good for PE, because if they acquire a new acquisition, or they have a buyout, and they want to kind of have like with that corporate restructuring, or corporate governance, and then they bring someone like yourself in, who can assist with that and make the process a lot smoother, and increase productivity for their valuations.
oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Although to be fair, I haven't really done much work on the portfolio companies themselves. It's really much more at the investor level.
Internal.
Yeah.
That's Oh, gotcha. Okay. Understood. Awesome. Which metrics are you most focused on improving? We can talk about, certain internal metrics that, in terms of your performance, are you looking for better, improvements on your business development side, your deal flow, in terms of the kind of clients you work with that are passive or actively seeking your services? And then
Yeah. Oh,
aside from business development, administrative, obviously we talked AI and stuff like that.
yeah.
So what metrics that you're looking on improving right now?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing for me is improving the conversion ratio to getting towards serious conversations from initial conversations, getting over that. And, some of that is, I think, sparking a little bit of the imagination in the target and getting them really kind of visualize that next step. So that's kind of what I'm working on now, is trying to get through that hump of having those initial conversations, those initial questions, and converting them into deeper conversations. Certainly, I found that once you get to the deeper conversation, the conversion to sales comes a lot easier. At least that's been my experience with, I guess, the way I've handled it. It's that kind of middle point that trips me up the most.
Oh, good. But I would imagine you have great client roster, and you have people that you work with that provide referrals, so you do a good job.
Yeah. Oh
from
no,
that.
it's absolutely true. I would say the biggest downside of my business is I don't really have repeat customers. Once I solve a problem, it's kind of solved, and then I move on. Certainly, I stand behind my work and service it, so it's not the total end of the relationship, but
Yeah, definitely.
it really.
So what would you want certain types of potential clients that are, fit within your niche, if you will, to know about your company, your services, and what you can do for them? What's the value?
Oh yeah, the value is helping the CEO or the rest of the C-suite sleep well at night, knowing that they don't have fires burning that they're not even aware of, right? That they're comfortably on top of what needs to happen in a timely manner. That those, whether it's filings that need to happen at a certain time, and getting the information for them ahead of time and sorted, or client reports, getting all the grunt work done for that in time. I think that's the biggest thing, is just the getting rid of that kind of mental anguish that there's something out there that they're missing with their own business. I've seen a lot of CEOs that do worry about, geez, the compliance risk is I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
you know
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's good, man. That's really good. And, that's definitely some value there. Nobody likes, a secret backdoor into their IP or their systems and their operations, and how they maintain consistent funds and deal flow and stuff like that. I guess what I'm trying to say is nobody likes a secret backdoor, right? Where things can come in and ruin everything. You want to analyze and lock all doors and make sure that it's a tight niche system that's operational and running smoothly, right?
Yeah, right, exactly right.
Yeah. I messed that all up, but I think you get the to make this fun. But yeah, so I would say, where do you want your company to be in the next 6 to 12 months from now?
Yeah, I think we definitely would like to grow, and I think have probably a better system of our own on the sales side, really, on the deal side. That's one area where my own systems have not quite kept up with my growth. So I'm kind of experiencing that too, right? Swear. Where things, and yeah. So
Okay, awesome.
that's, whether that's being better at integrating CRM into daily operations, or I'm not quite sure yet, but probably something along those lines.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. More efficiency, and yeah. Awesome. Well, it sounds like you kind of have an idea of where you're heading in the future, and what you want, and how you actually are able to create value in this ecosystem of your niches and what you can provide for them, which is good. And you have the client roster, and the background and the pedigree to do so. For those of you who are looking to, work with Bob and obtain his services, his website is in the description below, and that is RoarQuelGRP.com, RoarQuelGRP.com. That's the Rorqual Group. And for those of you who do not know what Rorqual means, if you are a whale, check him out. Thank you so much, Bob Petry. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate your time for joining us on the Growth Experts Podcast.
All right. Thank you, Derek. This was a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. Until next time.